Some people build a car to go straight. Some people build a car to go in a circle. And then there are some people who build one to go around the track, sideways. While it spends most of its time inside the Drift Cave in San Jose, California, it has another home during the East Coast leg of Formula Drift. That home is BRE Motorsports. From full restorations to classic hot rod builds and full-blown race cars, one look behind its doors and you will see everything imaginable. From a plethora of motors in the engine room, to big turbo front-wheel drive drag cars and other sideways monsters, BRE does it all. We caught up with the man behind the wheel.
I'm Matt Field, and I'm the driver of the CX Racing Yokohama Tire S14 that you see up here. How I got started in the sport of drifting was I was just skating around a parking lot. I was a little skater kid, and that's all I cared about at the time. I was like 15 years old. And one of my buddies, a friend of a friend, was like, yeah, he's gonna come over in this car and he's gonna drift around the parking lot. And I was like, all right, whatever that is. And he showed up to the parking lot that we were skating at, drifted around some parking curves. My eyes got this big. I went home and started just obsessing about it, found myself a car, bought a drift car, and never looked back. There's definitely like some rivalries there. Almost everybody is like brotherly love, everybody is really cool and awesome to each other, but there are some people who I maybe don't like or tend not to, want to go over and hang out and talk to the guy any more than I have to. I say anybody who is making top 16, you have to trust, and even if they're qualified, if they qualify, they make top 32, you have to trust them, because if you don't trust them or trust yourself enough to drive with them, then you're just second guessing yourself. The reason why drifting may be a little bit different here in the US over Japan and Europe and other places is just what the judges are asking. I mean, we as drivers have to drive to the judges. We don't necessarily drive for ourselves or drive to the point where what we think is best. We have to drive to the judges. It's a judge sport, and if you're not driving to the judges, you're just out there messing around pretty much. So it's not necessarily up to us or up to US drivers, it's just the standards and what's expected as a driver. My first car that I started drifting was a 1991 300ZX. I wanted to get a rear-wheel drive Nissan because my friend, the car that he drifted around the parking lot was a 240, it was an S13. And I was like, no, I like Z's. These are cooler, they look cooler, I like them way better. That shit sucked. It was so snappy and so grippy, and like I see now, like I didn't have anything done to it. There was like coilovers on it and a stock diff, so I didn't no angle mods, no power, nothing. But I knew as soon as I got the 240, I was like, this is the car that I want to be in. And after I crashed the Z once, I fixed it, I was like, screw this thing, got rid of it, bought an S13 and like never looked back. 240 life through and through since then. I actually first started, I was like 5 years old, raced BMX, got tired of just pedaling, so I raced quarter midgets. It's like that roundy round stuff. When I was like 8 or 9, my dad was doing that with me. And then I told him, I was like, Dad, I am bored of going around in a circle. Like, I don't like it, not at all. So we sold all that stuff and I just kind of chilled out for a while, figured out what I wanted to do. I raced quads on my own a little bit when I was like 15, 16 years old. And then once I found drifting, that was it. I was hooked for life. My first car was an S13. My car that I earned my Formula D license in through Pro-Am, the car that I drove every day to high school, drove every day to college, was the first car that I ran in my first year of FD. I wadded the hell out of that thing, walled the crap out of it, destroyed it completely that first year. I mean, that's kind of what happens. So after that, I was like, I'm gonna build another 240, I'm building another S13, and everyone was just like, no, don't do it, build a 14, build a 14. That's back when S14s were still considered like a newish car. They're only like 10 years old, not 16 years old. So I did that. I got the chassis for free, and I just liked it and figured that it looked better and that was just a little bit better wheelbase, and I mean, you do feel the difference, drifting a 13 and drifting a 14. They do feel a little different. It all depends on how the season goes and what's in store. I would love to be able to get a bunch of money and either refresh this thing or build a new chassis. I really want an S15, like really, really bad. I've been trying to do it for a long time, but got to fork up 10 grand just for a chassis, and I don't know how I feel about that. Especially when this one, for some god-awful reason, is still straight. There's not much left of it, but what is left is pretty damn straight, so I really can't complain. I don't see just building a new car just to build it. Like, if I need it, I need it. If I don't, we'll rock it out. LS because, again, outside influences, all my friends. When I built my new car, I was like, I'm gonna put my SR in it, I'm gonna do all this, and I just started seeing that the level of competition and that you can make a lot of power very cheaply with an LS. I mean, when I built this car, I had an LS1 with a cam, made like 420 horsepower. That was it, like stock with a cam pretty much. And I mean, I loved it. That's what I could afford, and it was a lot more competitive than my 430 horsepower SR, and it took half the maintenance. So I really couldn't complain, and just more and more development with the LS. Got sponsored by Vortec, so we were able to get a supercharger on it, and that really like opened my eyes up, and we started pushing the limit, like how much power can we actually make. We outgrew an aluminum LS3 block really, really quick, so now we have a cast iron like truck LQ9 block, and I mean, it makes 1,050 to the wheels, and it does it without even beating an eye, so I mean, how can you hate on that? If you had a V8, it was just a V8. There was no forced induction V8s in anything in drifting when I got sponsored by Vortec. And I wasn't even really sure I wanted to do forced induction, and then Vortec kind of hit me up and said that they wanted to do something and they wanted to break into Formula D. And I was like, hell yeah. They gave me a kit, I made it work on my car, and never looked back, man. I wouldn't have it any other way. To me now, I like watch and hear and observe turbo LS drift cars. It's the most boring thing in the world. Like, you can't even hear them. If I tandem with those dudes, my car's just barking in their door the whole time. Like, you can't even hear those things. It's quieter than like an SR out there nowadays. What I think is important as a driver, or important for a driver, is an understanding of the car and the crew and everything. Like, me and my crew build this thing, so for me, I'm not just that dummy driver that hops in the car and jerks the steering wheel and smashes on the gas. Like, I can feel and I understand what's going on, and I think that in turn, instead of me just saying, hey, there's a problem with the car, there's something wrong, fix it, like, I'll either be able to adapt and drive around it or know what's going on right away so that we can address the situation, fix it, and get back out on track. And being able to do that, but also keep a clear enough mind and stay focused on the driving when it's time to be focused on the driving, I feel has really helped me out. Being a driving and a drifter, that is my life. That's pretty much it. After that, period, end of sentence. Like, I'm still going to school. I'm 2 classes away from getting my bachelor's degree. I'm going to San Jose State for business management. I have my own shop, Drift Cave. It's in San Jose in Northern California, and between running the shop, going to school, having a girlfriend, and drifting, the only thing that I really truly have time for and really truly focus on is the drifting. Get a 240, weld the diff, crash the hell out of it, do it over and over and over again, and have the fucking time of your life. For me, I really want to take drifting to like use it as a stepping stone. I would love to be driving it off-road. I would even love to be driving on a big team and be an international driver. What I really want is, I want to travel around and I want to drive in another country twice, 3 times, 4 times a month. That's my dream, is just to be like driving and traveling around and having a good ass time. Thanks for watching. I'm Matt. I guess I'll catch you guys in New Jersey. Sucked.
I'm good to go. Just try not to like shift back and forth in the seat like you just.
Does being a driver and a drifter affect your regular life?